Welcome back to the deep dive. So imagine for a second that you could get a fast forward button for your health. A way to just skip 30 years of confusion of all the failed diets, the expensive supplements, and just frankly, the misery. That's pretty much our mission today.
Exactly. We've been looking at the hard-won wisdom of a 60-year-old doctor, and he documented his entire health collapse and, how he bounced back. What makes this so powerful is that it wasn't just theory for him. I mean, he went through it all. He hit every single wall that his most complicated patients ever did.
Right. So we're pulling out 7 crucial mistakes he made so that you can basically shortcut that whole process. And the starting point for him is, well, it's very relatable. He thought he knew it all.
Yeah.
He was a doctor, steeped in medical knowledge, but he was chronically tired, couldn't sleep, just plagued by inflammation.
And that blind spot, that feeling of, I've got this, that's often the most dangerous thing. The big realization for him, and this really defines our whole deep dive today, was the shift from just treating symptoms to fixing the foundation. He had to stop chasing every little problem, a pill for fatigue, a special diet for this, and he had to realize it all came from his core diet and lifestyle.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with what have to be one of the most unbelievable mistakes. We're calling it mistake number 1. The vitamin warehouse. He was suffering, and his big solution was to take over 100 different vitamins every single day. I mean, how does a doctor even rationalize that?
It really speaks to the desperation, and that cultural idea that if something's wrong, you must just be missing some nutrient. He admitted he was literally driving from store to store, totally convinced that if he could just find the right magic combo of 100+ pills, everything would just snap back.
And what was the painful lesson he finally learned after spending, I assume, a fortune?
The lesson was brutal and simple. Vitamins only work if the diet underneath is actually good. He realized he was just trying to patch these massive holes in a ship that was already sinking. His diet, I think he just called it terrible. All processed carbs, sugar, inflammatory oils. No amount of pills is going to fix that.
So the diet had to change. But his first try at that was another mistake. He went full vegan, and he really struggled to feel full, trying to get all his protein from plants. What did he learn there?
Well, he learned he had the body's fuel sources completely backward. He was still running on carbs, which meant constant energy spikes and then these huge crashes. The big shift he talks about now is starting the day with animal protein for, structure and repair. And then, crucially, shifting the energy source away from carbs and toward healthy fats. He recommends fatty animal meat.
Protein for structure, fat for energy.
Okay.
That leads right into mistake number 3, which is probably the one most of us have made, the graduation delay. In college, he was living on strong coffee and, instant noodles, just classic low blood sugar fatigue. Yeah. And he kept telling himself,
I'll eat healthy after I graduate.
Exactly.
It's such a common trap, but the body doesn't wait for you. He thought he could just put off the consequences, but then he graduates and he just defaults right back to what's familiar. And it got worse. He went vegan, which for him, he says, just inflamed his entire gut and sent his health spiraling down even faster.
So what was the turning point for him the moment he finally got it right?
It was discovering what he calls the healthy version of the ketogenic diet. That was the thing that finally shifted him from constantly burning sugar or glucose and made that metabolic switch. For anyone listening, ketosis is just when your body learns to burn fat for fuel instead of carbs. His message is so stark, it's just don't wait until you're 60 in a crisis like he was.
So, diet first. That's the foundation. But even then, a lot of people, including him, turned to some pretty extreme measures to try and reset everything. This brings us to mistake number 2, the dangerous detox trap. And some of these stories are genuinely alarming.
Oh, absolutely. When people say detox, they often mean these really extreme cleanses. And the danger, as he found out, is you flush out all the good stuff too. Good gut bacteria, essential electrolytes. You can really destabilize your whole system.
You mentioned the master cleanse, that infamous lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like starvation, but he explained why it actually fails on a biological level.
Yes, it's the maple syrup. That's the key. Even though you're barely eating, the sugar in the maple syrup is just enough glucose to stop your body from switching over to burning fat, to ketosis.
Right.
So you're just starving, you're miserable, you're hungry all the time, and you're not even getting the metabolic benefit of a real fast. You're just stuck.
And what about the physical risks? He talked about some herbal detoxes that put him in bed for 2 weeks with an immune reaction. But the one that's a real warning siren, the near-death experience, was the gallbladder cleanse.
Yeah. I mean, just picture this. Drinking 12 ounces of extra virgin olive oil, then taking beet pills, and then feeling it all solidify in your esophagus.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying reminder that these extreme things are not just useless, they can be physically dangerous.
So after all that misery, what was his simple solution to the whole detox idea?
He realized the body is perfectly good at detoxing itself. You just have to give it the right tools and stop putting in the garbage. And the tools are just foundational eating. Good animal protein, some vegetables, maybe some probiotics, healthy fats. That's it. The body does the rest.
Which is a perfect lead-in to mistake number 6, the kale shake deluge. He was completely convinced, like so many of us have been, that you need a tremendous amount of fiber, so he was blending these huge kale shakes every day.
And this is such a great, nuanced point. Fiber is generally good, of course, but he found out that for a lot of people, especially if your gut is already a bit inflamed, just overloading it with raw fiber from kale, it just causes more bloating, more irritation, it makes things worse, not better.
Right, and there's the sneaky carb problem, too.
Yeah.
A giant kale shake is pretty bitter, so what do? You throw in pineapple, a banana, and suddenly your health drink is just a massive sugar and carb bomb.
Exactly. So his advice now is just moderation. Start small with plants. A 5-cup salad once a day or some fermented sauerkraut. But the really critical advice ties back to what we said earlier. Prioritize protein in the morning. A sweet, carb-heavy breakfast just spikes your insulin and guarantees you'll be starving and craving junk later. Protein in the morning sets you up for the whole day.
Okay, this is where we shift from what he was eating to how he was reading his own body signals. Yeah. Let's talk about mistake number 4, misdiagnosing referred pain. He spent years going to chiropractors, massage therapists, trying to fix this chronic pain in his right shoulder.
This one is a real revelation because he was treating the symptom perfectly, but the source was somewhere else entirely. He finally noticed this deep, constant tightness right underneath his right rib cage. And the big insight was that right shoulder pain is almost always a red light, an indicator for your gallbladder and the bile ducts in your liver.
Wait, so all that physical therapy was for the wrong problem?
Yeah.
How does that even work? Why does our body lie to us about where the pain is?
It's a trick of the nervous system, you know? The internal organs, like the gallbladder, and an external area, like the shoulder, can share the same nerve pathways into the spinal cord. So when the organ sends out a distress signal, the brain gets confused about the origin and just projects the pain onto that bigger, more obvious external area.
And the real cause was that his bile was all thick and sludgy, basically congested. That's a huge aha moment. You have to ask, is the pain really starting where you feel it?
Exactly. It forces you to look for the systemic cause, not just the local symptom.
And speaking of core issues, that brings us to mistake number 7, which is incredibly common today. The missing mineral, magnesium. He had severe magnesium and vitamin D deficiencies, which led to just terrible insomnia, fatigue, muscle spasms, Charlie horses, all of it.
Magnesium's role is just so essential. It's the great relaxer, it controls muscle relaxation, and it acts as the counterpart to calcium. Calcium makes muscles contract, which you need, but without enough magnesium to balance it, you get way too much contraction, and that's where the cramps and spasms come from.
And the connection he made to kidney stones is so important.
It's a fantastic antidote. Think of magnesium as the chaperone that stops calcium from bonding with oxalates to make those little crystals. And oxalates aren't just from spinach and almonds, your body makes them naturally. So magnesium keeps that ratio in check, prevents the stones from forming, and can even help shrink ones that are already there.
And he had this theory about why so many of us are deficient, right? Something about our water.
Yeah, he theorizes that our ancestors got a lot of magnesium from well water, but modern city water treatment is designed to remove those minerals. So we've sort of accidentally engineered this widespread deficiency, and the implications are huge.
Okay, our final big mistake, number 5, is all about timing. It's dismissing intermittent fasting. Initially, he just thought it was another fad. He said, that's nothing.
And this one is so key for energy. The real problem that fasting solves is constant grazing. Snacking all day, especially at night. Every single time you eat, even a tiny snack, you spike your insulin. And our bodies just were not designed to do that all day long.
That constant insulin spike keeps you trapped in sugar-burning mode, running on glucose. You never let the system rest or switch fuels.
And the results for him were dramatic when he finally adopted it. He dropped from 211 pounds down to 185. But it was the other stuff too. All the swelling in his eyes vanished. His puffy face, as he called it, went away. And he says that was all from fixing the insulin problems.
That's a fascinating detail. How does high insulin cause a puffy face?
Well, when insulin is always high, it actually signals your kidneys to hold on to sodium and water. So by eating constantly, you are literally telling your body to retain fluid. As soon as he started fasting, his insulin levels dropped, the kidneys let go of all that excess fluid, and the puffiness just disappeared.
So what's the takeaway from meal timing? What's the goal?
He suggests the average person should aim for 2 meals a day, some people even just 1. But the goal isn't to starve yourself. The goal is to get your body fully converted to burning fat. Then you can go from one meal to the next without those horrible hunger pangs from your blood sugar crashing. You just feel stable and energized. So if you put it all together, what's the synthesis of these 7 mistakes? It's really a journey from complexity back to simplicity. The answer isn't 100 vitamins or some dangerous cleanse. True health comes from these foundational shifts, prioritizing protein and fat, controlling when you eat to manage insulin, and fixing these core deficiencies like magnesium. The biggest lesson of all is just don't wait until you're 60 to figure this stuff out.
That's such a powerful way to put it. And, I want to go back to that point about magnesium and our water. If an essential mineral that we used to get naturally is now just gone because of modern infrastructure, it makes you wonder, what other foundational things are we missing today from our environment, our soil, our food that we don't even realize are gone? It's a pretty big question to think about.
It really is. And if you want to dive deeper into the specific foods that he recommends now, after all of this, he outlines a whole plan. It focuses on those key nutrient-dense items.
We really hope these 30 years of painful lessons can save you some time, some money, and a lot of misery. Thanks for diving deep with us.